Hello, beautiful friends. I am so excited to explore this very potent and crystallized new moon in Cancer happening on June 28th and 29th. I think this new moon is so much about true self-expression and hearing our truest soul song and kind of scraping away some of the layers of where we've pushed things down or ignored parts of ourselves, where we've been socially conditioned to kind of split ourselves or abandon ourselves and come back into a wholeness of this. This new moon is also going to be helping us heal anything having to do with the mother archetype, both in our internal family systems as well as generationally and in the world at large. You know, just some small themes to take us into this Cancer season and this new moon. But I'm very excited about this type of work because for me, when we are really authentic and engaging with a Cancerian wisdom, the water wisdom of the hidden and the unseen, the emotional, the intuitive, this actually helps us in our self-expression. It helps us in our expression of that more earth and fire kind of elements that we normally think of as the go-getters or just the ones that are kind of ruffling things and moving through, right? And in my work, I think it's always so important to balance out all these elements, to find them in each of ourselves and to explore them and bring them forward and understand how they work deeply with ourselves. So this is a really great opportunity to dive into Cancerian energy and explore it. Whether you are very comfortable with it or less familiar with it, I think this is a great place to enjoy the beauty of Cancerian energy. This is a really potent truth-telling new moon. This isn't about us kind of avoiding our own inner knowing. It's really about going straight to the source. You know, Cancerian energy, it is about the mother archetype. It's ruled by the moon. So the new moon here is going to be very, very comfortable. This is about the intuitive wisdom, the domestic space, the non-performative space that we hold in our lives. So this is really a true, authentic part of ourselves. I think Cancerian energy too is about accepting help and support and not feeling like we have to be just this individual making things happen all the time. And so it's about easing back into a softness and an openness with our own soul song, which is how I describe that feeling when we're really connected with ourselves and we can feel and hear like the art, the music, the poetry, the meaning, the care that wants to flow out very naturally, without force. That this is a sign that helps us to do that and to hear that soul song really, really clearly. And it just has two major aspects that are really going to kind of direct this conversation. So the sun and moon are 7 degrees of Cancer, and they are basically conjunct Darkmoon Lilith. And Darkmoon Lilith is the archetype of the first wife of Adam, essentially, who didn't want to be kind of the helpmate. She wanted to be free to do her own thing, ruffled some feathers, got cast out of that whole situation. And so she is a rebel. She is somewhat taboo. She's about expressing parts of the kind of raw and wild and untamed, which is really, really beautiful energy. And I know a lot of people probably get a little intimidated by this. Oh my gosh, a new moon conjunct Lilith, this is going to be crazy. But here's the thing, I think what's so essential about this energy is this is about, and this goes to deep places depending on your relationship to mothering energy, both just within yourself and also with any of your history, can be quite sensitive. I'll admit that. And please take care of yourselves wherever you are with that and whatever comes up for you. But for me, this is about the parts of ourselves. And at the most essential level, this is about the parts of ourselves that we have repressed, pushed down, put on the back burner in order to uphold outdated systems, outdated routines, outdated systems and routines that we feel almost imprisoned by. That aspect of ourselves that wants expression, that wants freedom, that wants to explore its intuitive wisdom and move from that place needs liberation at this time. So we can think about this in terms of our internal family systems. And I always argue that if we have a really well functioning inner mothering, inner nurture that is very compassionate, always loving us, everything else in life works a lot better. It's a lot easier. It can help soothe our inner critics, our inner guardians. It can help us to be present with those we love and to receive support. So this new moon you could use to purely just amplify that inner nurturer that is always there for you with compassion and understanding as you move through life. You can also use this new moon and this conjunction with Lilith to explore your generational mother hand-me-downs, where women have been frustrated, stuck, repressed, pulled back, and take some time to feel through that energy and help it release so that it can have expression in the world and feel freed from those old systems and imprisoned energy. That's pretty potent and powerful. And, there's no pressure here to make nice with every mother in the world. That's a complex topic. What I will say, though, is that what I like to do when it comes to inner mothering and just connecting with any kind of parental energy, it's about making your own mother as well. Connecting with like the almost universal mothering energy and creating our own inner parent and guidance system. And I think Lilith can really help us do that, because a liberated mothering energy is going to be have a full cup. And anything that liberated mother energy gives is going to be so beautiful, so potent, and so powerful. And so this is a really great chance to explore that, because so much mothering energy has been trapped and frustrated. And so this is just really, really medicinal. And I think this is where we start to hear our soul song. And if you happen to be a chronic people pleaser, overgiver, have a hard time with boundaries, this is a really great new moon to explore how you would like to free yourself from some of those obligations and pressures and establish those boundaries in places where you can let your raw, wild, free spirit have a little bit more say in the conversation. No, it can be scary to explore that, but this is a great opportunity to do that and to plant some seeds in that regard. The other big thing happening with this new moon in Cancer is a square with Jupiter, a perfect square with Jupiter in Aries. And this is really an interesting square to me. I know a lot of people also get a little stressed by squares, because squares are about an inherent tension that needs to be addressed and resolved, something that needs to be rebalanced or looked at. To me, that's always kind of a relief, right? To just like, yeah, I have these two warring factions inside of myself. One wants this, one wants that, and I haven't given both of them a little bit of space to breathe and explore. Let me do that. But this is a really interesting one, because Jupiter, of course, is all about expansion. Let's go for it. This is the eternal optimist. This is the big picture. Let's just grow it. Jupiter is this giant planet. And in Aries, of course, this is so much about amplifying our I am energy in this world and how we move through it and take our space within that. It's very beautiful, and I actually really like Jupiter in Aries quite a bit. It's a very bold energy. Here's where this square gets really cool, though, because you have this external expression Jupiter in Aries, which is very extroverted energy in a way. And then you have this new moon in Cancer, which is, hey, listen to this intuitive wisdom that isn't obvious. It's not about our performance out there. It's not about how people perceive us, how well we're doing, what success looks like, what kind of roadways we're making in the physical world. What's really true here in the quiet, in the moments where we sit still. And for me, this square gives us the opportunity to look at each of these things. Maybe where we're feeling we need to put our I amness in the world, where we need to put our impact in the world, and where we are really feeling that soul song singing in our bones when we sit down quietly. How are these conversing? Where do they line up actually in surprising ways and click and sync and do their thing? And where are they just at odds? Where is there a part of us that feels like I need to make this big impact? I need to have, I need to force myself through the world with this big I amness. And then the soul song is saying, I'm really craving not doing that. I want to go over here. My intuition is telling me that this little topic over here is something that is just calling to me. My curious nature is calling to me, or vice versa. I don't know, but this is a really great opportunity to just check in. Notice when you write down the list of things, your goals, right? Your goals for like who you're going to be in 2022, the second half of 2022. Kind of from the perspective of what you want to get done out there in the world and have other people appreciate. And then maybe write a list of the intuitive things that come up when you've sat quietly for a couple of minutes. Notice, which ones sync up, which ones are, totally line up. Those are probably going to be great keepers that you're going to be working with. And where is there a dissonance? Where is there a real, you can tell like your heart and your spirit aren't in this goal over here, even though practically it makes perfect sense, even though you want it. So this is a really great time to look at that. The internal versus the external. Are they working together? And essentially, this Cancer season in general, and definitely during these first couple weeks of Cancer season and this new moon, is about listening to the call that is coming from inside the house. And that can be about a part of ourselves we don't let ourselves express. We don't let ourselves begin. That can be about something that we've deeply known we want to explore and open up, but would have been a little nervous to acknowledge it to ourselves. And what I will say about this new moon is there is no requirement to act on everything the second this new moon is happening. It's just about the acknowledging. It's just about the beginnings. This is a new moon in a cardinal sign. So this is going to be about what doors we want to even creak open. We want to even put our hand on the knob. So just keep that in mind. There's no pressure here. This is all just about listening in deeply to what's coming up. Let's pull a card for this new moon. Initiations. And for me too, yes, this could be something big. Sometimes it's surprising what will come up when we do those kind of lists where we're listening in. But sometimes it's as simple as if you've been wanting to start drawing again, or start dancing again, or reach out to a person you haven't talked to for a while. This kind of new moon can really help us to remember that it doesn't require us already having it done. We are allowed to, if we're going to start drawing again, we can draw like a drawing this big, the size of a plum. And that's great. So letting ourselves begin is really, really sacred medicine during this new moon. And that's part of that inner mothering as well. The inner mother is that's functioning in a really loving way is going to be like, yeah, go try that. Sounds great. I'll be right here cheering you on. Let's do it. Page of Swords. Okay. Speaking of new beginnings, the Page of Swords, and actually I can't resist. I put the deck down, and at the bottom of the deck was the Six of Cups. So I feel like that's important. So we're going to work with both of these because to me, there are two aspects of this moon. There are the bold new beginnings, the call coming from inside the house, that like chill and thrill of having like a truth just move through us and give us that insight. And that's that Page of Swords. That clarity, that brilliance. Page of Swords to me is, it's not about mincing words. This is about just getting in there and seeing what happens, getting straight to the point, and having like kind of a free-spirited approach to doing that, not being so worried about the fallout, just wanting to get the words and the motion going and slice through and open something up. And that's Page of Swords energy. It's very fresh. It's very curious. And that is one part of this new moon. Absolutely. It is a new moon, so it's about planting seeds. It's a cardinal new moon, so it's about new beginnings. And then we have Six of Cups, which is very nostalgic and very emotionally deep. And for me, the Six of Cups almost always reminds me it's like those, it's like deja vu and those loops and the way that time moves very circularly. So Six of Cups is about deep love and nostalgia and like how we've been loved and how we've expressed love and experienced love and connection and emotion through time over different, in this lifetime and other lifetimes, and how we kind of absorb our generational understanding of that as well. So Six of Cups can take us many different paths. And I think what's important of Six of Cups is acknowledging kind of the complexity of the topic of liberating the inner mother, as well as our lineages and our world when it comes to that mothering archetypal energy. And I think this is a time to shower the love that we have for our own inner mothers, wherever they are, if they're struggling, if they're feeling vibrant, as well as any mothering energy we experience in the world. And this, Six of Cups essentially is about deep, tender, loving care, but it's also about the way that time loops around and we sometimes come back to themes over and over again. So this is also a great moon to resolve a loop. And that's kind of like, of course, those things don't normally happen in one moment. But sometimes in just acknowledging something that's been a loop, a subterranean loop that's been circling around in ourselves, we get that Page of Swords moment. It dissolves something that was holding us and keeping us in a same circle over and over and over again. And I think that's really at the heart of this moon, what it's about. It's about allowing ourselves to move and explore new ways of mothering and loving and caring and showing self-compassion and allowing some of the old pains peace and rest. And of course, once again, that's a big process that goes on for a long time. So with all of that in mind, I am going to be doing a beautiful activation over on my Patreon. That is really where my little community of soul spirits, we all hang out over there, and every moon I do an activation where we get really specific and I give you kind of a work or an exercise, a way to workshop the new moon and really feel through it. So I'd love to see you there if you would like a little bit more support and guidance through this entire Cancer season. You can also find me on my Instagram and my website. So I'll leave all of the links below so you know where to find me. I would love it if you stuck around, subscribe. We have a lot of beautiful things coming up the second half of 2022. The stuff that I'm going to be creating as we transition into this half of the year, especially up here in the Northern Hemisphere. I'm very excited to be offering support as we get into the darker months as well. So I'm very excited to see what that is going to look and feel like. I love you all so much for being here, and I will see you all very, very shortly. We've got a full moon in Capricorn coming right up.